In our last video, we discussed how Jim Rohn mentioned that all species on Earth live to their potential. How tall will a tree grow? As high as it can. It'll put its roots down as far into the ground as it can. It will lift its branches up into the sky as far as it can. It will produce all the fruit it possibly can. Only human beings limit their own potential. And in the last video, we discussed the 5 strategies that we as human beings need to employ to start living to our true potential. What Abraham Maslow said was self-actualization, the pinnacle of human achievement. And in this video, I want to discuss with you the next 5 strategies of the 10. G'day and welcome to Becoming More. My name is Willem. 30 years ago, I met my mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, and he taught me his philosophies and his strategies to live a life on your own terms. This channel is all about sharing those philosophies and strategies that has allowed me to live the life I want. And I truly want the same for you. Now, if you haven't seen last week's video on the first 5 strategies, I would ask you to have a look at those. You could do it after this video. They don't need to be seen in order. You can certainly watch it after this video and look at the other 5. I'll put a link to that video downstairs in the comments. And we also discussed last week about how to live life to its full potential. But in order to do that, you need to know what that looks like. What does your life at full potential, life on your terms, what does that actually look like? And it's surprising how many people can't answer that question. So again, I'll mention the PDF I've designed. It's 11 questions to decide what it is you really want out of life. If you're not quite sure about what your perfect life looks like, what living life on your terms looks like, I would download that PDF and answer those questions, and then look at these strategies to make that happen. Again, the link to that PDF will be in the comments below, so you can download it there. Okay, let's hop into the next 5 strategies that will allow you to live life to the max. Strategy 6 is think big, but act small. Lao Tzu is famous for his quote, "The journey of 1,000 miles starts with 1 step." There's a great story that Mr. Rohn tells from his mentor, Earl Shoaff. When Mr. Rohn first met Earl Shoaff said, "You need to stop living paycheck to paycheck." He first encouraged him to live on 70% of his after-tax income. And he said, with the balance, put it in the bank, pay off your debts, and then start creating a deposit for yourself for future investments. And he said, it doesn't matter what the size of it is, just do it. And it's quite funny, the story that Mr. Rohn tells when he walks into the bank and he puts in his little small deposit. I don't know how much it was anymore, but it certainly wasn't large. And he gave the teller a small deposit and he says, "I'm starting a savings account and one day I'm going to be the biggest depositor in this bank." And the teller, of course, just smiles and says, "Okay, anything you say." Anyway, many years later, he was the biggest depositor in that bank. And it's true what Mr. Rohn was told by Earl Shoaff. It's not the amount that matters, it's the process, it's the system, it's the habit of doing it week in, week out. So strategy 6, think big by all means, but start small, just start. The reason a lot of people never ever accomplish their goals, their ambitions, is because they think it's beyond them. It's too big. They think that a small step they take now won't make much difference, but it will. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Strategy 7 is don't reinvent the wheel. Anything that you want to achieve, any goals you've set for yourself, ambitions, success in your career, even in relationships, more than likely somebody has already achieved that, and more than likely they've written it down in a book somewhere or recorded it on a podcast, on a video. The opportunities these days are immense to pick up on people's experience. Here's what I have found over the years. Success tends to leave clues. People that are successful are more than happy to share their successes with other people especially who want to learn. Now, George Foreman has a great quote. He said, "Don't try to reinvent the wheel, just learn from the guys who have already done it well. you need a mentor, a seasoned coach who is willing to share his wisdom and experience with you. Ask someone who has already been successful to guide you. Now, I know many people won't ask for help. They feel it's below them, but let me put this across to you as well as I can. Be humble. Never be afraid to say to someone, I don't know enough, you know more than I do. Can you give me some words of advice? How do I go about this? Never ever think that you aren't up to it. Now, it takes guts and humility to ask for help. I know it's not easy, and especially if you have a bit of an ego problem, the last thing you want to do is say to someone, hey, I don't know it all. Like I say, it takes guts, it takes humility, but the payoff can be enormous. If you speak to the right person who can just maybe give you that 1 or 2 pieces of information that you need, all of a sudden, the final number goes into the lock turns, and the door is open to you. So never ever be too intimidated to ask for help. Truly successful people are always more than happy to share the secrets of their success. 8 is practice self-discipline. Now, this is a really hard one. It's a tough one. However, I do want to make one point when it comes to discipline, because for many years, I confused discipline with willpower. And the reality is we only have so much willpower in our tanks. It's the strongest when we get up in the morning, and the tank diminishes as we go through the day. So my advice to you is, if you're trying to learn a new discipline, do it as early in the day as possible. Now, I know some people find it easier to go to the gym in the evening after work, and that's great. That's fantastic. I just can't do that. If I'm trying to develop a new discipline, I have to do it first thing in the morning. Now, the key to creating any new discipline, I think, is twofold. Number one, habit stack it with something you're already doing. So let's say you want to learn a book on how to become financially independent. Number one, find out what the best book or books are on financial independence, put it next to your bed, and when you wake up in the morning, promise yourself when you wake up, you'll read 1 chapter. Now, you do that for 2 weeks, you're going to read 14 chapters. And that's what most books are. In 2 weeks, you can learn all the information you need to become financially independent. But it's got to be habit stacked with something you're already doing. So that would be the first point I make on discipline. The second one I would make is this: life gets in the way. No matter how good our intentions, things happen, life gets in the way. But if you are practicing a discipline, and let's say you're doing a 30-day challenge, which I find is the best way to develop a new discipline or a new habit in anything, do it for 30 days. If you miss 1 day, the golden rule is this: don't miss 2. Okay? It's okay to miss 1, but don't get off track for 2, because 2 will quickly become 3 and then 4. Get back on the train. You miss 1 day, don't miss 2. So that's strategy 8, practice self-discipline. Strategy 9 is be easy on yourself. In other words, practice compassion. You're going to make mistakes. None of us are perfect. The idea, though, is don't come down hard on yourself, because you won't get up again. Speak to yourself like you were your own best friend and say, okay, you've let yourself down today. You can do better, and we will do better tomorrow. First thing, when I get up, we're going to get stuck back into it. You've just got to get back in the race. Sadly, I see people fall off the horse and they never want to get back on again. Okay? Be good to yourself, encourage yourself, accept that you are going to make mistakes. Mistakes are all a part of learning. And if you call them mistakes, you probably feel negative about them. Don't call them mistakes then, call it feedback. Now, if you want to learn about feedback and talking to yourself and really learning about life, my advice to you is learn to play golf. Now, I love golf, and sometimes I have a great day. Some days I have a terrible day. Sometimes I hit a great shot and the very next shot will be an absolute lousy shot. The great thing with golf, and that's probably why I love it, to me, it's so much like life. You're going to have your great days, your bad days, your mediocre days. The trick is, when you hit a bad shot in golf, the mental attitude you should be bringing to the game is, okay, I can't do anything about that anymore. I've got to let that go. My next shot will be my best shot. And that's the attitude that I go to every shot with. Every fresh shot, regardless of whether I had a really great shot, I had a really bad shot. the next shot will be my best shot. And I try to take that into life and in business and in everything I do. Okay, I might fail up, I might make a mistake, but the next time I'm going to do it will be my best time to do it, will be the best effort that I'm going to give. So strategy 9 is accept you're going to make mistakes, but be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself like your own best friend. Now, we've gone through 9 strategies, but before I go to the 10th and last strategy, I would ask that if you found this video useful, could you like it and maybe even consider subscribing. I put a new video out every week on a Friday, and there is a heap of content that I want to share in this channel from Mr. Rohn that I've learned and that I've experienced myself over the years. Okay, so let's go to strategy number 10, and it's this: make sure you take time to recharge. There is now overwhelming evidence on the power and the need for sleep. We all need 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. We just don't function at our best if we don't. If you're going to live life to the max, if you're going to become the very best version of yourself, you must take time to recharge. I've had this myself over the years. I've gone too hard. It's never a good end. And now I am rigorous about making sure that I get to bed early and get up early. Okay, so with these 5 strategies, plus the 5 strategies in the previous video, you should be really fully armed now to live life to the max, to become the very best version of yourselves. I would ask you to give them a try. Not all of them, maybe 1 or 2 of them, and see how you go. I promise you won't regret it, and you will thank me later.